Once upon a time, every vampire had a shadow, but only Steve Bannon's shadow booked flights, gave legal advice, and offered a private island for secret meetings. Byline Times has just published one of the wildest investigations of the last decade. It shows something we were never supposed to see. The messages that sat behind Brexit, behind Bannon's failed European revolution, and behind Nigel Farage's political rise. And that brings us to the central question of this video: was Farage linked to Epstein? To understand the scale of the story, you have to go to the beginning, because the European populist machine everyone thought Bannon created was actually built by people in Nigel Farage's world. On the 9th of January 2017, a new political foundation appeared in Brussels, Le Mouvement, the movement. And it wasn't filled with American operatives or MAGA strategists, it was filled with Farage's people. Lua Ferrari, Farage's former assistant, the woman who later became his partner, literally signed the paperwork. This was her foundation, and therefore it was Nigel Farage's pipeline into Europe. You may remember her from such classics as I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, but also for the housing incident in Clacton where Farage claimed it was his house. It turns out that she was the one that bought it, but no one can figure out where the money's come from yet. And her think tank, the IDDE, is being accused of misusing EU funds to support UKIP campaigning. 3.1 million euros flowed into Farage's political group during the period he was building this anti-EU network. Yes, the European Union accidentally funded its own opposition. The EU paid for Nigel Farage's political world, and that world built the foundation Bannon would later take over. This wasn't some fringe operation, this was a dinner table of powerful people building a political machine to reshape Europe, long before Epstein's messages even entered the picture. And it was Farage who brought Bannon in. According to Modri Carmen, the Belgian lawyer who co-founded the movement, nothing was happening, the foundation existed, but it was empty, no staff, no strategy, just a shell. And then Farage picks up the phone, arranges a private lunch, and introduces longtime ally Steve Bannon to Modri Carmen. And according to Modri Carmen, it clicked. Bannon and the rest instantly agreed he would adopt the foundation as his European headquarters. So to be completely clear, Farage did not join Bannon's project, Farage delivered the project to Bannon.
If you're interested, what I'd like to do is set up something, and I'll fund it somehow, that I think you're the perfect guy. We help knit together this populist nationalist movement throughout the world. Because guys in Egypt are coming to me, the Modi's guys in India, Duterte, you know, and we get Orban and even and we're somehow some sort of convening authority for conferences and stuff like that, so we can get ideas out there. I mean, do you think that's a worthwhile thing?
Yeah,
or nobody's got it. Nobody's doing it right now.
It's not being done.
The reason we're going to beat Corbyn and Sanders is they're not prepared to take on the powers that be. We're fire breathers. I mean, we're taking on the establishment every day. You've taken on the Tory party. I'm taking on the Republican Party. They don't have that, and that's why we can steal a march in them. And the reason they don't want to do it, it's immigration. As long as they don't take on the they just refuse to take on the immigration. We're prepared to take it on.
Yes.
It's a global revolt. It's a zeitgeist. We're on the right side of history, but it's going to need the motive power. And the thing that's missing is, that's what I'm really trying to put together now, is the ideas. The ideas have to come in more sharp focus. The economic ideas, the political ideas.
You've also moved, Steve, into a different place.
Yeah.
The minute you stood up on that stage in Alabama, you became a different figure.
Yeah.
You're in a different place now. You're not just fixing stuff and operating behind the scenes and making it happen. Yeah. You're now the face of it.
Well done, Bannon. Well done, Breitbart. You helped with this hugely.
So Farage's circle built the engine, Bannon climbed in and grabbed the wheel. Now here comes the part nobody expected, the man who quietly fuels the entire operation from the shadows. Jeffrey Epstein didn't just appear around the edges, he became Bannon's unofficial strategist, fixer, advisor and political handler during this European revolution. And we know this because these messages have been released by the US Congress. They come from internal files on Jeffrey Epstein, including his emails and text messages, all obtained by the US House Oversight Committee. And this is where it gets dark, because Epstein offers Bannon anything he needs: accommodation on the island, Palm Beach house, anytime you need privacy. Epstein arranges Bannon's movements with the private planes to Paris, Paris to Italy routing, recommends Gulf Air and Egypt Air when Bannon gets stuck after Oxford protests. He even offers, if you want to come to Paris, I'll send the plane. Epstein also acted as a political strategist for Bannon.
Bannon made 15 hours of video of Epstein for what he called a documentary, and this was in a key period, months leading up to what we now know was his arrest and then death.
The future is for the way women think.
The way women think.
That's correct.
Is that not a sop because of all the depravity you've done against young women? And your new sop is that their women's thinking is the future?
No, I've always believed that women would in fact be able to take over. I'm a firm believer and supporter of Time's Up.
Just think about this for a second. He knows that Epstein is a sex trafficker, and he's still interviewing him, making money, getting political advice from him, and using his transportation and legal knowledge. It's incredible. During a meeting with Salvini, the guy in charge of Lega Nord, who you may remember was talked about on James O'Brien's show when he interviewed Nigel Farage.
So what about the mud that's been thrown about the far-right parties with which you sit in Europe? The Danish People's Party, the True Finns Party, the Dutch SGP, and perhaps most interestingly, the Lega Nord. I think you co-chair, do you, that group with
yes,
Francesco Speroni? He described Anders Breivik as someone whose ideas are in defence of Western civilization.
No, he didn't, actually. He didn't. One of his members did, and we kicked him out of the group.
No, you're thinking of Maria Borghesio, who went further and said in a radio interview that Breivik had some excellent ideas. But Speroni himself, who is your co-chair of this group, said that Breivik's ideas are in defence of Western civilization.
If you were to come with me to Italy or Poland or Slovakia and listen to the political discourse, you would realise how incredibly different it is to what we would consider to be acceptable in this country.
This is Anders Breivik. He is a mass murderer in Norway, and he did this.
Breivik murdered 77 people on July 22nd, 2011. 8 died when he detonated a car bomb in Oslo. He then travelled to the nearby island of Utøya, where a group of teenagers were on a Labour Party youth camping trip. He killed 69 of them. It was Norway's worst peacetime atrocity.
If you were to come with me to Italy or Poland or Slovakia and listen to the political discourse, you would realise how incredibly different it is to what we would consider to be acceptable in this country.
Sorry, an ever so slight detour there, but quite an important one to give you context as to who this man is and who these two are dealing with. Because Bannon is texting Epstein about this, and Epstein writes, "Hopefully you're sitting on Salvini's lap." Bannon goes, "Vice versa. Epstein, lol. Ah, the power of dark." Epstein wasn't just making jokes or checking in or helping with travel. He was giving Bannon practical advice on how to run a political operation without getting caught. He told Bannon to use organisations in the US called a 501c4s because they don't have to reveal who gives them money, which makes them perfect for hiding political funding. He warned Bannon to avoid triggering FARA. That's a law that forces people to reveal if they're working for foreign political groups. Epstein also suggested creating a media company because journalists get legal protections, which could then help shield the whole operation. And he told Bannon to get someone else to speak to the Justice Department so Bannon's own name stayed out of anything risky. This wasn't casual talk, it was detailed advice on how to move money, dodge scrutiny, and protect themselves. The kind you'd expect from a political fixer or an intelligence contractor, not a disgraced billionaire who was supposed to be nowhere near politics. From these leaked emails, we see exactly what Bannon, Farage, and Epstein were trying to do. Their goal wasn't small. They believed they could reshape European politics by building a powerful far-right alliance across the continent, but even further than that, from America all the way across the whole of the continent of Europe. Bannon bragged to Epstein, for example, that Belgium's government collapsed 5 hours after his speech, claiming he'd spent most of the day in a hotel suite trying to unite rival nationalist groups in order to make this happen. At the same time, he was messaging Epstein that he'd been pulled into the Brexit thing with Farage, Boris Johnson and Jacob Rees-Mogg during a moment when Theresa May's leadership was close to falling. And we're not done yet because Epstein talks about seeing Steve Bannon in London and how Bannon is embarrassed.
And in an email to journalist Michael Wolff, Epstein talks about seeing Bannon in London, saying he seemed paranoid about any reporters seeing me with him. My guess is he's working hard on his relationship with Trump, who he sees as newly ascendant, and being seen with me may, and it's hard to get the exact implication here, but seen would affect that. And then he writes Bannon's media tour seemed with an eye toward an audience of one.
And it didn't end there, because Farage launched his own American version of this European movement called World for Brexit, using the same dark money structure Epstein had recommended. Put simply, this wasn't a casual friendship, it was a coordinated attempt to build a political wave across Europe, the UK and the United States, with Farage's team building the structure, Bannon organising the push, and Epstein sitting in the background as a shadowy advisor. So after everything we've seen, the messages, the travel, the political plotting, we circle back to the question we started with. Was Farage linked to Epstein? And the answer is simple. Not directly, but a lot of the people in his world were. Farage's partner built the foundation Epstein advised, Farage set up the lunch that brought Bannon in, and Bannon, the same man who Epstein was messaging, advising, coaching and joking with, was right in the middle of Brexit politics.
Well done, Bannon. Well done, Breitbart. You helped with this hugely.
And again, Farage sits at the centre, surrounded by the same kind of men. Wealthy, disgraced, morally rotten characters who somehow keep turning up behind Brexit. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps the channel and it's free. As I do in every video, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of my Patreon and YouTube subscribers and members. You keep this channel going and growing. Once again, thanks for listening. Bye for now.